Alex Smith did a interview with GQ. So we don't have the audio, so I want to read this, and certainly as the former player, I want you to take the reins here, but I want everybody to know what he said. Alex Smith said this about how he felt when he was trying to come back with Washington. Quote, "They never thought I was coming back. When I decided to come back, I definitely threw a wrench in the team's plan. They didn't see it. They didn't want me there, didn't want me to be a part of it, didn't want me to be on the team, the roster, didn't want to give me a chance. Mind you, it was a whole new regime. They came in. I'm like the leftovers, and I'm hurt, and I'm this liability. Heck no, they didn't want me there," he continued. "At that point, as you can imagine, everything I'd been through, I could have cared less about all that. Whether you like it or not, I'm giving this a go at this point. I mean, they tried to put me on the pup for 2 weeks, then they tried to high-arm me," he said. "I felt like I still hadn't had my fair shake at that point. I wanted to see if I could play quarterback and play football and feel like I hadn't been given the chance to find that out yet. It's like getting this close to the end of a marathon and they're telling you that you can't finish the race. It's like, believe that, I'm finishing this thing, or at least I'm going to see if I can. So I'm thankful we worked through all that stuff. But no, it wasn't like open arms coming back after 2 years." End quote. A bit lengthy, I know. I believe, and you take this, and I'll follow you, I actually think that's a little selfish on Alex Smith's part.
But go
ahead.
I think it's the reality of the nature of his injury. It's not like he had a torn ACL. It's not like he had something that was routine and predictable on how you would come back. And I think he's just stating the facts as he understands them, but he also has to realize that football is a business. And if you're going to have a guy on your team who is making a pretty good chunk of money, Alex Smith, I forget what his actual contract was, but it wasn't insignificant.
Nope.
Because he was brought there by the previous regime, as he mentioned, to be the starter. And so you have all that sitting on your contract, and you're a new or new team, a new regime there, and you're trying to build a new culture. You kind of just want to start fresh and not have to worry about, is Alex going to come back and be healthy? We all wanted him to be healthy and figure out how to be or work his way back to being a starting quarterback again. I remember we had this as an inbounds and out of bounds question, and I didn't think he would be a starting quarterback in the NFL again. Just that injury is brutal. So it's hard not to fault, Alex, but it's also hard not to fault, Washington for thinking that way.
Yeah, I mean, Washington had to think that way.
Yeah.
I understand the internal battle waged by Alex Smith, the mission to end his career on his terms.
Yeah.
I get it, even though I don't get it from a player's point of view, but I respect it from a distance as much as you possibly can. That documentary that chronicled his rehab was some of the most incredible stuff I've ever seen. It's just amazing, where he was with veterans who were disabled, who had limbs blown off in wars, where he was learning how to walk again, let alone getting under center, taking a snap and rolling out and trying to avoid a 6'5", 250-pound defensive end who runs a 4.5, 4.5 40. To do that is beyond comprehension for my mind. Different for you because you played, but for me, that is incredible. But I still think it's selfish. He spent 7 years with the 49ers, 5 years with the Chiefs. If he was drafted by Washington, I can see that sentiment more.
Yeah.
And again, I'm distinctly separating Alex's pursuit, which I completely respect, but those words, I mean, he's dissing the franchise. He is. He's basically dissing the franchise. And the franchise's objective is not to cater, and that might not be the perfect word, but or acquiesce to Alex Smith's personal demands or personal.
I don't think he was
not demand. Not that's the wrong word. Personal battles, personal obstacles. Their objective is to win.
Yeah,
and they have not been doing a whole lot of winning. And at that point, he was on the team for 1 year, just one season. So there was no real deep emotional connection to the community, to the fan base, certainly to the team contractually. I think those words, while I understand them, are still pretty selfish from Alex Smith.
Yeah,
I do.
And he was making $16 million a year last year. His cap hit was 20, which is very manageable for a quarterback. but you're not playing. You know what I mean? You didn't play a lot of this. And in this upcoming year, it's $23 million. I mean, he's almost certainly going to be released at some point, BT, because I think they're looking, obviously for a long-term solution at quarterback.
Yep.
And, I don't know what that means for Alex, but let's also not forget, Alex is 37 years old. Right, Alex is at that age where an oft-injured quarterback, or not oft-injured, but majorly injured quarterback like he was, they're just not playing anymore. And maybe it's changed because of health and conditioning, all those other things that we talk about and that allow athletes to play longer. But he won when he was playing. But at the end of the day, they still have a direction that they need to work towards, and Alex Smith probably is not going to be part of that conversation, to be honest with you.
Nor should he be.
It sucks for Alex, but that's just the business of the NFL, and you can't be upset about that.
No,
now, we didn't hear this, so we read this in GQBT, so I don't know the tenor of his voice. I don't know if he was saying this with anger. Or was it was just matter of fact? My guess, knowing Alex, and I've never met Alex, but just knowing how
I've met him a few times. He's a pretty nice guy. Great guy.
But you know what I mean, how he addresses circumstances.
Yep, very calm.
He's probably calm. And matter
of
fact,
calm.
He was just retelling his understanding of what was going on.
Understood. And again, I respect it. But this is not college where you've got a walk-on who's busted his behind in practice, or her behind, in practice every day for 4 years, and they get the token start on senior night, and after 3 or 4 minutes they come out so they can hear their name introduced, and they can soak in the adulation, their parents, their families there. You get the framed jersey, you get the roses for mom, whatever it might be. We've all seen those ceremonies. You did that, I'm sure, at UVA. We did something like that at Marist. Everybody does that plays a sport. This is not that. This is the NFL. I mean, this is, if you can't play and you can't help me win, then I am putting myself in a position to get fired. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, exactly right.
And it was unrealistic. As much as he overcame everything, it was unrealistic to think that he would ever play again.
Yeah.
So in their minds, they had to move on.
Yeah, especially at a high level. I mean, he almost lost his leg. You know what I mean? It's not like this was a minor injury or even a major injury routine. He almost lost his leg.
It was skin grafts. It was infections. He almost died.
Yeah.
He almost died with that infection.
Yeah, I mean,
it was rods.
A lot of people point to the where's the loyalty in sports, and aren't you rooting for your guys and all these other things? But football, just like almost any other sport, it's a business, and you got to make business decisions. And whether or not Washington really wanted or didn't want him there, like he said, because they didn't want me here. I don't know if that's true, but he probably felt that way because they were moving forward. They were moving on without him, and it's hard to blame them.
No, I agree with you.